All right, guys, welcome. In this training, we're going to walk you through how to get your calendar set up. Our calendar system can really replace something like Acuity or Schedule Once or Calendly. There might be some little changes here and there, little differences, but for the most part, it can pretty much do whatever you need. In other trainings, we're going to walk you through how to set up your team calendars. So this is just for an individual right now, but other trainings will cover the other stuff. So the first thing that you need to do is you need to connect your Google Calendar, your Google connection. Okay, so you click on Settings, go to Integrations, and then you're going to want to sign in with Google. So it'll take you to our lead connector is our system here. So you want to allow all the stuff, the normal connection. It's going to ask, which business location you want to, select. Don't do anything right now. I'm just going to click Connect, and you're going to be good to go, believe it or not. Okay. So that's enough. See, it says connected. Okay. You don't need to do anything else right now. You're all set and ready to go. Now, if you do have like a Google Ads account or something, you can connect all that later. But right now we're just going to focus on calendars. Okay. So I'm going to click on calendars, and in the system, we give you two sort of default ones, like a personal calendar and a discovery call calendar. But I'm going to walk you through, in a discovery call, will be like your strategy session. I'm actually going to walk you through creating a new one just so you can see what it looks like from scratch. Okay. So the very first thing you're going to do is give yourself a calendar. So I'll just call this Ben's calendar. And the appointment title, this little piece of code right here is pretty cool because it will basically, it allows you to say like the contact's name when they submit it. So if like Joe submitted an appointment, it would say Joe, and I would put a little apostrophe S, right? Discovery call. You can see I've done this before. And then meeting location, I do all of my meetings. I don't do sales calls for Elite CEOs, but I do all of mine in Zoom, right? If I'm doing an audit with a client or something like that. So I would put my Zoom link in here. You don't have to put anything in here if you don't want to. It says consider leaving it blank should you choose the pre-configured meeting location. And I'll show you about that in just a second. Now I'm going to select my Google Calendar, and then it's going to ask which one, right? So most of you will probably have different calendars, and I would recommend using, if you use one main calendar where you're blocking off time for personal stuff, that's fine. That's the one you want to use. So I'm going to choose that one. All right. And sync option. Select one way. If you do two-way, what that's going to do is even when you put personal appointments into your Google Calendar, if you had two-way on, it's going to pull up all those appointments, and it's going to pull those people into your calendar. So like, let's say, for example, you have an appointment with your brother, and, you've got him, attached on to one of the appointments in Google Calendar. It's going to start basically treating your brother as a lead, and it's going to start emailing them appointment reminders for your appointment from your system. You don't want that to happen, so just leave it as one way. Okay, so I'm going to click Save and Continue, and now we're going to move on to availability. So slot duration is just how long your appointments are going to be. Okay, typically, the most sales calls are an hour. The slot interval is how often you want them to appear. So do you want them to appear at 9 and 9:30, 10, 10:30, or do you only want them available on the top of the hour? You might want to shrink this down. If you want them to be able to take place, every 5 minutes, you could do that. But, maybe you just want to, keep it simple. I'll do every 5 minutes. Buffer is how long you want between appointments. If you need a little bit of a break, you can do that. You could just leave it blank. Because you're only one person, right? We're only going to do one appointment per slot, obviously. And then how many appointments that you want per day that you want to allot to this. And this is important, okay? So if you've got, a limited amount of time, you don't want to set this to, unlimited. You want to pick, a reasonable amount, and it'll try to, to make that work. So you have to know your schedule. So we can't preset that for you. I think you'll have to go into the calendars and adjust accordingly. But, if you're just getting started and you don't have a limit, just leave it blank. Okay. Now, minimum scheduling notice is how long they need to be able to give you notice before they make any changes to the appointments. Some people like, a full day's notice. If you're going to do a long time like that, like more than 8 hours, or even more than 2 hours, I would say, you need to make sure your date range has enough days to satisfy that. What I mean by that is, let's say that you require 2-day notice, but you only have a 2-day date range or a 3-day date range. There's not going to be enough days. They're not going to let people book appointments because it wouldn't give them enough time to be able to cancel it. So I would say this: if your date range is how many days out in advance you're going to let them book. Now, we at Elite CEOs, our max is 3. Okay, so if it's Wednesday, the max they're going to be able to push out to is Friday. And we just simply do that because we've shown that the more time that goes by between when they book and they don't, and they do they're supposed to do their call, the more time there is, the more likely it is they might not show up. So honestly, we try to stay within 2 days. And sometimes we'll shrink it down even to 1 day if the calendar looks light for whatever reason. Sometimes you may need to open it up. But all I'm saying is I wouldn't make this minimum scheduling notice super large. I would do like 2 hours. Okay. And then your date range, will be whatever it is. And then obviously your office hours, what days you want to be able to take your business calls or sales calls, Monday through Friday. And then your appointment calendar here, you can apply all, if it's 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Or if you want to adjust specific days, you can do that. Now, let's say you don't want to work straight through 8 to 5. You just click this little plus hours. And let's say you want to stop at, let's do like 12 p.m., right? So you're going to work 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. and then you want to come back at 1 p.m. And then you're going to work, so you're going to take an hour lunch kind of thing. And then maybe on Fridays, so you could apply all, and that'll push it out to every day, right? But then maybe on Fridays, you want to leave a little bit early. That's totally cool. And there you go. Now you're set, okay? Now you're going to move on to the confirmation tab. And the confirmation tab, we give you some custom forms. This is the form that's going to be displayed before they book their when they book their calendar time. If you don't want one, it says right here, if you would like to collect more information than just name, first name, last name, and phone number, email and phone, that's the default calendar. Then you could just leave it, here, or if you select none. That'll be the custom, it'll just display the regular name, phone number, email address, right? If you want to use one of the custom forms, you can, okay? Like you can select that one, and that's going to eliminate the sticky form. What is sticky form? This is going to pull over their name and contact information and whatnot. Now, something very quickly, if you wanted to put a survey, what you'll go through in the training, you'll learn about surveys. Surveys act sort of like Typeform, where you could use logic. Now, it's a little advanced. If it's not something you've done before, don't worry about it. But if it is something that you want to do, where you want to put sort of a questionnaire before they even have the ability to book a call with you, then maybe you don't need to attach a super long form because you're going to already have collected a lot of that information. So you would just use sticky information. And this is what this is going to do is if they've opted in on one of your pages or they've come in through your chat widget or something on your site, it's going to, if you use sticky information, it'll do this. It'll autofill contact information previously entered so leads don't have to enter it twice. Kind of a neat little feature, okay? I would leave let the calendar auto-confirm your appointment. And if you want to send yourself a personal alert, put your email address in there and that will, it sends a very basic one. We've built in an internal notification that you'll see when you go through your workflows that is a little bit fancier, but that's the way it is. I would leave the allow Google Calendar send invitation and update emails to attendees. You don't need that because we've built that in and they're going to get automatic notification as well from this. The Facebook Pixel ID, if you do want to put your Facebook Pixel ID in here, you can. And then in one of the other trainings, we're going to show you how to insert some custom code in here to make this kind of fancy or customize the color to make it yours, okay? Then finally, the most important are the form submissions, where you're going to send them to afterwards. Now, I believe in let me save this. I believe in the free discovery call that we sent you, or that we created for you guys. We put yes. So this is what's called a custom value. And you're going to learn how to update these in the training. But basically what this means is you're going to assign your booking confirmation page link into that custom value. Now you could just copy and paste that URL, that link. Like if you know what that page is and you want to use it right now, you've got it. But you probably haven't set up your funnel yet at this stage, which is fine. So for now, if you want to leave that how it is, or if you just want to put, maybe you've got another funnel that you have somewhere else that you're using another system, and before you get it moved over, you still want to start taking advantage of the calendars, then you could put your link right there, okay? And this confirmation page should be a page that you own, that it's it's customized to the calendar, and it should make sense, okay? But getting back to the Ben's calendar, that really is it. I mean, you saw me go through the whole process of setting it up. If you don't want to have a message, or a URL, you would just select that. I don't recommend that because you can customize this, yes, but it doesn't look very professional. You want to put a URL right there, right? So I would put, my confirmation page after that. Okay. So you're all set. That is how you set up your very first personal calendar. Other trainings, we'll get into setting up your team calendar.